Sergeant Stubby, An American Hero is the best dog movie I've seen since Beverly Hills Chihuahua 3, Viva la Fiesta. The film's story about its love for dogs really shows, and the animation itself really makes the experience different from any other animated movies you see today. Oh, wait, hang on a second, that's the wrong movie. Thank you. Isle of Dogs is the best movie I've seen since Beverly Hills Chihuahua 3, Viva la Fiesta. The film's story about its love for dogs really shows, and the animation itself really makes the experience different from any other animated movies you'll see today. Wes Anderson has returned to make another stop-motion movie, which we haven't seen from him since Fantastic Mr. Fox back in 2009. Heck, it's been like 4 years since Grand Budapest Hotel came out, so fans of his work have been waiting for something new for quite some time now, including me. This animated movie is set 20 years in the future where dogs are in trouble. Mayor Kobayashi, who's voiced by Kunichi Nomura, has ordered all dogs to be shipped to Trash Island, which is off the coast of fictional city Megasaki City, to prevent these dog-related sicknesses converting to human-related sicknesses. Kobayashi's nephew, Atari, who's voiced by Koyu Rankin, goes to Trash Island to find and rescue his dog, Spot, who's voiced by Liev Schreiber. On the island, he comes across a pack of dogs: Rex, who's voiced by Edward Norton; Boss, who's voiced by Bill Murray; Duke, Jeff Goldblum; King, Bob Balaban; and Chief, who's voiced by Bryan Cranston. Even though the dogs don't speak Atari's language, they decide to help the boy find his dog. Meanwhile, back in Japan, a group of students, led by foreign exchange student Tracy, who's voiced by Greta Gerwig, tries to fight back against Kobayashi. Alright, that's a lot for the movie, mainly because, like any other Wes Anderson film, it features like 30 different A-list stars. Also, like any other Anderson film, is his auteur. Yes, the symmetrical shots and placement are what you would expect from this, but it feels like the amount of detail Anderson has in his movie gets more impressive every time he makes something new. I do think this is Anderson's most detailed movie yet, and part of that is because of the stop-motion animation. The animation is definitely more impressive than Fantastic Mr. Fox, and in no way am I saying that's a bad movie. That's a fantastic movie. I'm just saying that the way the animation flows is better and has improved compared to Fantastic Mr. Fox. An example of how much detail was put into the animation was by taking a photo of every other frame in order to get those scraggy dog hair movements. And you would think that this would make a lot of movements feel scattered and clunky, but as you can see from the trailer, the movements are incredibly smooth. Especially in this one scene that involves sushi making, it was oddly satisfying to watch because of how polished the movements were. And the lighting also has an impact on the animation. It lets a lot of the set pieces glow and adds a mood for other certain scenes. I think this movie is a great example of the usage of light in movies, which sounds like something you don't hear that often, so that's a plus for this movie. The thing that I've noticed a few people have criticized is the use of the Japanese language. Anderson decided that there shouldn't be subtitles for any of the Japanese characters. Instead, the language is sometimes interpreted by a translator, a student translator, or a machine. But this isn't happening through the entire movie, it's only for a couple scenes. So sometimes it's just straight up Japanese, and you pretty much don't know what they're saying. And people have criticized this for saying this makes the Japanese characters feel less important. And I disagree with that. Yes, whenever any of the Japanese characters spoke without a translator, I pretty much didn't know what they were saying, but I was able to understand the emotions of these characters due to the mannerisms and how these voice actors inflected their words. There was a musicality that I think you could still follow or get the gist of what's happening. That's why I have to give props to Koyu Rankin for voicing Atari. I thought he did a fantastic job. I was definitely able to understand how he felt because of his voice acting. Anderson also pays tribute to some Japanese culture and art. Some of the things will most likely fly over people's heads, unless they lived in Japan for a while or just, know a lot about Japanese culture. One scene pays tribute to Iryu, which is basically Japan's ER. I noticed music from the Japanese classic Seven Samurai was put into the film as well, and it certainly fits the tone of the movie. One of the human characters is based off of the famous French-Japanese artist Leonard Fujita, who's done paintings of cats and dogs, so there's a great amount of detail put into just Japan's culture that is impressive as well. The beauty of this film is also how you interpret the movie. Some people can see this as a movie about a boy and his dog, and it's incredibly easy to approach that because of Anderson's style. Yet, others can see this as a film that's about immigration and democracy, and I can totally see why people think that. When I first saw it, I wasn't thinking that at all. But then after I heard about this and seeing the movie again, I did notice the resemblances. The movie addresses that not every single person from an outside group is a saint, but more importantly, they're a person with all the pros and cons we have. It shows that we show humanity and try to connect with people, and we'll see their better sides. But, you know, they just use dogs as part of the subject instead of actual humans. But like I said, how you view the movie is up to you, and I think it's just an interesting conversation piece about how you view this movie. But yeah, that's just up to you. Alexandre Desplat's music is pretty much what you would expect. In the very first scene, you can hear those chanting bass voices that you would hear in some of other Anderson's work. But Desplat also does stuff a little differently. This score is way more percussion heavy throughout the film compared to any of other Desplat's work. And the title sequence music shows that, and it's beautiful to watch and listen. It's not my favorite work by Desplat, mainly because some of these pieces are pretty short. Really, the most memorable part of his score is, you know, the drum scene at the very beginning compared to Grand Budapest Hotel, where pretty much the score is such a heavy part of that movie. This movie doesn't imply on the score as much, but it's still a great soundtrack, and I think it's definitely worth checking out. Bryan Cranston as Chief really sold me as a voice actor too. The way he delivers his lines fits perfectly with that dry sense of humor and tone. He works well with the other voice actors too. Unfortunately, even though the pack of dogs is incredibly delightful to see, they pretty much get pushed to the side in the third act, and pretty much the movie doesn't focus on them anymore. Instead, this is when it focuses much more on Chief and Atari's relationship, and it feels rewarding to see how these two characters interact as the film progresses. It's just the movie made it seem like this was going to be a lot about the pack of dogs and not more so about Chief. It may not be Anderson's best work, but it's still one hell of a fantastic movie. The animation is unreal due to the specific details on that animation and Japanese culture that helps make the movie rewatchable. Just thinking about how much effort is put into one scene is incredibly impressive. There's no way I could do that at all. I'm not even gonna try to do that. The voice acting perfectly fits Anderson's style, but Cranston really steals the show later in the movie. I hope he returns to do more of Anderson's films, but who knows, maybe this is just a one-off like George Clooney and Bruce Willis. It's just a shame that there's so much talent and the movie decides to push the supporting characters to the side of the movie and just forget about them. Yet it's still great that Anderson is trying to do something new with his storytelling and use it to say something about us and the world. It's totally fine if you want to completely ignore the political aspect, because even if you do, you still have a marvelous story about a dog and a boy, and that always seems to play well no matter where the story takes place. I'm gonna give the movie an 8.5 out of 10. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe, please, if you like it. So, alright, bye.